I'll start by saying there haven't been that many games we've played in this series that really feel like they're from the country that they're from. It's only something we've mentioned a few times. It's really nice when they do, with like Raji and Ancient Epic, obviously being a real standout in that character is as a representation of India. But Dungeons of Hinterberg feels so beautifully, wonderfully Austrian that it took me right back to a lovely holiday I had there a few years ago with my buddy Steve. We stayed in an apartment that overlooked the mountains, and we did a lot of relaxing in our apartment, just enjoying the peace and quiet and the views, but also went up some mountains. I did a lot of walking in the woods surrounding our place, and as soon as I started Dungeons of Hinterberg, it honestly felt like I had fresh air in my lungs.
Yeah.
The premise of Dungeons of Hinterberg is quite straightforward. You play as Louisa, who is a law student who comes to the town of Hinterberg in the Austrian Alps for a holiday. Hinterberg's not a real place, but in the game it's garnered a lot of attention for the magical dungeons that have sprung up in the mountains around it. And these are what Louisa has come to explore. And the game is sort of divided into two phases. You get the dungeon exploration, and then you've got the social simulation in the town. And every day you wake up and you choose which dungeon you want to tackle and explore. And then in the evening, you mooch about the town and chit-chat with the locals and the other visiting adventurers to flesh out the human side of Louisa's story. And both sides of Dungeons of Hinterberg are really well realised. Like, the dungeon crawling aspect is excellent. Each of the different dungeons in the game, I think that apparently there's about 25 of them, I think. Each of them have a totally different mechanic to utilise. So like in the first dungeon you can summon a giant bomb. That's like your one tool. It's like, you know, like the different powers you get in Breath of the Wild or something like that. That's like really sort of allows you to manipulate stuff. It's like, here you go, here's this one, see what you can do. And it means that there's a great lateral thinking twist to the puzzles. And also the combat that you find inside the dungeons. There's some really, really good puzzles in there. It is like reminiscent of like some of the shrines in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Combat is nice and crunchy. It feels good as you develop like physical and magical abilities too. And then the social side of Dungeons of Hinterberg is just so gosh darn cozy that you may as well just be playing a big bowl of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Like, the characters are all really well written. They've got loads of personality. You really start to lose yourself into, you know, this life, having this lovely routine. You find yourself like investing in the ins and outs of the social side of it, when like mechanically, like in terms of the game, you don't have to. You could just whiz through it to get to the next dungeon. But like, the more I got to know Louisa and the other characters, the more I wanted to spend time developing some of those relationships, and that really would like help propel me through the game, because I'd always be looking forward to the next dungeon, and then when I was nearing the end of the dungeon, I'd start looking forward to who I was going to chat to that evening, and then I'd get excited for the dungeon the following day.
Good loop.
It helps that it all looks lovely as well. The sound work in the game is also excellent, especially when you're out like on the mountain or in the town. It's all very ASMR. You can happily zone out just to the sounds of the landscape and the hubbub of the locals. The art style is cel-shaded, so it's pretty clear and bold, which is nice. I've only played it on the Steam Deck in handheld so far, and whilst it all runs really smoothly, I would like to see it on a bigger screen at some point to really encourage my immersion. Imagine if it was in VR, that would be a treat. I don't think it is.
No, probably not.
That'd be so nice if it was. That'd be a lovely experience. I haven't completed the game yet. I put it down over Christmas. So I was playing it sort of in December, and I put it down basically when I picked up Xenoblade. So maybe in a week or so, when I finish the Xenoblade DLC, I'll return to Hinterberg.
Maybe in a day or so.
I was going to say tomorrow. It'd be really, really nice to return to Hinterberg to finish that adventure off, because it's just a really lovely, very cozy, very comforting game. It's I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful calling card for the country it's from as well. Delightful stuff. Really, really nice.